Go.
All right. All platforms rolling. Welcome. Thank you, everyone, for joining us. Appreciate you once again.
Good morning.
Kurt.
Oh, sorry.
You want to
I'm
go ahead?
Richard. Yeah,
I'm
sorry.
Kurt. Wettermann Homes and part of Core Group Realty powered by EXP. So we are your Central Florida semi-custom home builder, operating from West Volusia down to North Osceola, and pardon me, and into East Lake County. So
Which includes Seminole and Orange County.
oh yeah, just,
I always have to throw that in.
We don't leapfrog.
You guys
over,
don't do
so.
anywhere in between.
Yeah,
we do.
We do like to have a little bit of fun, so bear with us here. And so again, as I said, we have stock plans. So we are also semi-custom, so we can make changes to any of the plans we want, and we are working with several clients on complete custom home plans. And again,
And our largest one now being 7 to 8,000 square feet, and that's
as an example,
yep, two-story main home with an attached ADU and a detached ADU. So,
with a pool.
Yep. So it's not just a big 8,000 square foot, and those,
Yep.
definitely can sometimes be trickier than a.
In that, we're leapfrogging ahead, but come
sorry.
back. That is an example of us creating an estate plan for our client with family involved in that as well. So it is definitely a family affair as an example of what we can offer from trees to keys. Again, leapfrogging ahead and back, that includes working with this client to find the right piece of land. And again, as part of creating an estate plan for this client, construction related, not finance, is importantly the due diligence on the lot to make sure we have the right buildable widths and depths and wetlands and flood zones and all that kind of thing. And so as an example, and so real quick, we have Maddie here helping us producing the live stream, and so she can help you with that as well if anybody's ever interested in looking into that as far as photography and everything like that as well. So she's very comprehensive, especially with social media. Are you getting, is that appropriate to mention you're getting certified on meta ads? So yes, definitely. So she's working in that space as well. So reach out to us if you're interested in getting her contact.
And on a side note, I know I've heard of people we know who thought about doing podcasts or getting that kind of stuff, and even people who are very highly respected in our business who have said on occasion like, oh, I couldn't get in front of camera, I couldn't do that, and I'm kind of like, what? Like, these are people who can speak in public and stuff, and if you can do a Zoom call for the most part, now we have Maddie who helps us set everything up. That's probably the trickiest part. But if you can do a Zoom call, you can do a podcast or a live stream like we're doing now. So if you want to talk about stuff in the industry or whatever your industry is, then by all means, get
and
out there and do
for
that.
the agents out there too, if you ever
Yes.
wanted to collaborate or anything like that, we do all kinds of stuff like that too. And so to those out there ever thinking about doing something like that, number one, nobody really cares. If you screw up, just keep rolling with it. Nobody cares. Number two, you can also edit the video. So rest assured, anyways, that's our side motivational quote there. So rolling ahead with what we're here for as Wettermann Homes. Also to the agents that are listening, we pay full commission, paid at slab, not at CO, as an incentive to you. So, and always what makes us different, we have a list of all of our current and past clients, and you're free to talk to them and find out what their experience was, good, bad, or indifferent. And so that's always available. So jumping right in, Rich, were you going to interject once again?
Yep. I was just going to say, when we've had clients who have, everybody always asks what makes you different, and I was like, well, every builder will tell you basically the same thing. We build a great home, we yada yada yada, and it's like, ask the past clients, they can tell you. I was like, I don't know, Kurt and I can sit here and tell you we're the greatest thing since sliced bread. Which one of our previous managers at a car wash said we were? He's like, you guys are the greatest thing. But anyway, good job.
So I had a client.
So anyway, that just goes to say that,
oh my God.
even if, for example, we were a bit more expensive than another builder.
Which we're not, by the way. I know we're not. We're
Yeah.
the best, one of the best values out there.
Yes. And so even if somebody's perception was that we weren't competitive on price, that doesn't mean value, and we could dedicate another podcast. The difference between price and value is that, we've interviewed or spoken with clients who are interested in building who have absolute horror stories. They've told us stuff that we didn't think were possible. Just wanting to do a good job in the
lack of communication, and then the contractor splitting town. Yep. As a builder, we think, man, we always get a bad rap. I always hear, this builder this and this builder that, and then I hear these stories and I'm like, oh, that's right, yeah. So it does happen.
Well, why does the client, their first interaction with us is they're tense? Yeah. Okay, well, I want to do this, and I'm like, whoa, pump the brakes a little bit. Why are they like this? And I'm like, oh, well, we listen to all the other stories, and so to put a long tail on that kite, looking back on it, if take a car for example, and I'm going to go down a rabbit hole, but if you had to pay $5,000 more for a car that never had a problem, would you do it? Looking back, most people would say, yeah, if I had a really good customer service experience after the fact, I would have paid more money just to have that service. So,
as an example, I had a client that texted me late last night. This is unusual, so we don't usually respond to that, but they had something with their water system. The water tasted a little different because it's on a well, and we have a comprehensive water system. And so even though it's out of warranty, of course we're going to take care of them. And so it is really service after the fact. That's what we expect from our trade partners, and so that's what we'd like to offer. Anyways, as a microcosm about what makes us different. And so
and I'm going to beat this horse to death, so
clearly,
because it's really separated. And I'm saying this because I want to give buyers and realtors, for lack of a better term, ammunition when they interview other builders to say, okay, do you do X, Y, and Z? These guys say that they do this. We keep in contact after the sale. I've mentioned this before on a previous live stream, that as a matter of whether it's general real estate or a build, that we contact 3 months, 6 months, 9 months, and a year after the build. And then every year after that, we contact them every year. And right now we're on one client. It was, I think, 7 years ago. And I still reach out to them every year saying, hey, happy anniversary. It's been 7 years. How's everything going? And there was one time a client said, hey, we did have an issue with the septic. And I was like, why didn't you reach out to us? We're here to help. And she was like, well, we just didn't think. So that's just the type of service that we like to offer our clients. So anyway, I think I put a bow on that. So.
Yep. So once again, for the agents out there and for buyers, we are from trees to keys, and that means we will help you. We have lists of lots that we've done some due diligence on as far as wetlands assessments and things like that. Mm-hmm. So if you have any questions relating to anything regarding construction, you can reach out on social media, emails, anything like that. You can get in touch with us. And so I'm going to touch real quick on, we always like to, every live stream, we like to have an update on market rates. And so we just do a general search. So one of our referring partners for a 30-year construction loan for a loan amount of $500,000, you're looking at a rate of about 6.375. Now that's based on certain credit scores and LTVs and things like that. But that's what's possible right now because there's a fluctuation and a variation of rates from different lenders. But again, once again, depending on what you've heard out there, that is something that is possible, FYI. Moving forward once again. So we mentioned briefly before that we're creating an estate plan for a client. So that is strictly residential. And so recently what we've had is 2 separate clients looking to do residential with some quote mixed uses or a commercial style product. And so we will be upgrading our license to include some commercial. So if you have clients out there that for some reason want to entertain something like that with residents and some sort of commercial adaptation, we have, again, 2 separate clients. I'm not going to mention what it is, but they, for privacy issues, but they will be having a residence with, we're going to attach commercial style buildings to one, excuse me, and then the other client has a business that's indicative of they want to have the residence there with some commercial space for event style stuff. And so that's really not a different commercial, but the county and or city will view that differently because we have to have different codes and things like that, parking and then life safety and fire suppression and everything like that. So FYI for the future, for potential clients and agents, we can help with that too. So we have that in process and we'd love to talk to you about that to see if we can help in that regard as well. So, leapfrogging back and forward, I forgot to mention too, other available options for construction financing. If you're going 15-year or 20-year, you can get a 15-year fixed based on your criteria as low as 5.375 for a 15-year on $500,000, meeting certain criteria, LTV and credit score and all that. Again, what's possible? Consult your lending partner, or we can help you with several referrals as far as that's concerned. So, I don't see any questions that are coming across the board, so we might keep that brief today. Any stories that we might share?
Actually, I wanted to put a little bit of a another tail on a kite as far as our commercial.
That's crazy.
I know.
That's who you're gonna be with.
Kurt had mentioned about upgrading our license. So currently, right now, the license is a certified residential contract. We call it a CRC. The next one up is called a CBC, which is certified business contractor, and that allows building
Certified building contractor.
building contractor. So building, yes.
Yeah.
And so that allows you to delve into commercial spaces. And the reason Kurt had been obviously toying with that idea. It's kind of one of the things we were just like, well, didn't really see
Never
the need
presented
for it.
itself previously.
And so we had a situation where I have a lot listing, and there is a commercial business next door. And so it presented a challenge because most people who want to build a residence don't want to be next to a commercial. And so we had a potential client who was like, I want to build something for what the county would deem as a civic assembly. So they would have people coming there. They wanted to build it as a residential, but use it as a civic assembly. And so that's a technical term from the county. And that, once you get into that realm, you know, as Kurt mentioned, there are certain things as far as parking will be, and we started delving into this. The county was, Seminole County was very responsive. They outlined everything. They were very communicative, and parking is a major thing. So if anybody is wanting to get into, you know, using a residential site for some type of business operation where you're going to have people coming to the site, parking may be your biggest challenge, because that's not something we can engineer into the plans, and that's what we found out with this one. And so they inevitably said that they wouldn't approve what they would call a special use permit. Disappointing, but it was. They also said that because of, as Kurt mentioned, fire suppression, you have to engineer the plans a certain way. There has to be bathrooms and this, that, and the other, that they were going to treat it as a commercial build, even though the plans were basically a residential home with a bigger garage space. And so that's when we decided. And then it just so happened that Kurt had somebody approach him wanting to do something a little bit different, but in the same realm. So it was kind of like, okay, let's go ahead and do this. And
so let me add to that as well. And so when Richard mentioned we approached Orange County, your cities and counties will entertain a preliminary planning meeting. And so for agents and buyers out there, you don't necessarily have to buy the lot. We can do a set aside, or you can do a letter of intent with a lot owner to say, hey, we'd like to do, as part of a due diligence period, whether that's 30, 60, 90 days, we can set up a meeting with the county or governing body there to review it, say, hey, here's our intentions, here's our ideas, would you approve this, before you even make the purchase on a lot. So there's that option as well. You don't have to dive into the deep end right away. There's preliminary things we can do to get approval, or at least have them stamp it, either yes, we'll approve that, or no, we won't. Or you need to do this, and then you can reevaluate the feasibility of using said lot or whatever. And so in the case of the person who wants to look at it for a venue type functions, again, parking is going to be a consideration. So now you're getting kicked up into, now you're looking at 3, 4, 5, 6 acres. It's got to meet certain zoning criteria, which whittles down the availability. So sometimes opportunities present themselves where ordinarily as a residential lot, it's been on the market for a while, but when you have somebody who's willing to, let's say it's on a main road, if they're looking for more feasible commercial or venue space, it makes a lot of sense. So,
yeah, and it was it was very insightful because we hadn't been approached ever before, I think, at any time, somebody wanting to potentially do, and again, I'll just use the term that Seminole County uses, a civic assembly. And so it depends on how many people you expect to be using the venue. They have sub 100, and then it goes up from there. Once it goes up from there, it depends on the size of the lot, and then how much parking, and then there's going to be street parking. And the person I spoke to at Seminole County was like, yeah, it would be a special use permit. And he's like, here's what you do. And then he was like, he actually emailed me back and was like, hey, instead, he was like, I talked with a couple of my colleagues, and if you do a pre-application and you provide certain documentation as far as what you want to use it for, how often you're going to do it, or have functions there, whatever the function may be, how many people it's going to be, he's like, it's $50, and then they'll go through everything. And they gave us a detailed analysis of what the structure would need to be, how often are you going to have things there. And it's fairly straightforward. It's not super complicated, but it was a very comprehensive list, and it was pretty insightful. So for $50, you could, you don't have to go through a lengthy evaluation process on the lot. You don't have to spend a lot of money. I was like, $50. I was like, Kurt was like, oh, we'll pay it. And I was like, we don't have to pay it. But, it can be fairly straightforward and fairly comprehensive. So you can always ask. And the worst they can say is no sometimes. But,
and we can do preliminary plans and site plans and things like that too. Mm-hmm. So there's a lot of ways to mitigate risk for the buyers before they purchase a lot to get ideas. And so again, having said that, we can help with a lot of those different aspects.
So yeah, that goes into, we were doing due diligence on wetlands, now we're doing due diligence on commercial stuff. So that was a quick
skyscrapers yet. So not sure if we'll get into that, but as Richard said, the state of Florida, because we're in Central Florida, the state of Florida has 3 different tiers of licenses, and so it's a residential contractor, building contractor, and then general contractor. And most people think of general contractor in the state of Florida deems that you can basically build whatever you want, unlimited, and so that's a general nomenclature that people say as a general contractor, but in the state of Florida for licensure, that does have very specific meaning. So not that that's relevant, but it is relevant in regards
just
to...
Just an FYI,
So I think that we summed it up fairly quickly today. So if you have any questions about anything we talked about, again, email. Some of you received a text alert on our live stream. You can text us. We should have all forms there in the email that you got. You can link to any of the social media and send us a message there as well. We respond to all forms of communication.
Yep.
Did you... Oh. So we got one question. We know that is. It's just family being nice, asking a question, trying to stream it out. How do you handle negative drainage discovered after rough grading? This is usually where I throw in a smart aleck comment, but I don't want anybody to think I'm serious. Negative drainage. So after rough grading. Well, so the question is, how do we handle negative drainage discovered after rough grading? And so what I'll say is we have comprehensive site plans in some of the areas that we build. And so they are on a site plan. You will have pinpoints that will show that all the grading needs to flow a certain space, certain direction. Our excavators have laser levels, so they know exactly at a certain point what level to have. And then as they move forward, that'll be lower and lower and lower. So if there's any negative drainage, there shouldn't be, because they would have fixed that at rough grading. If there's a problem after the fact, they will just regrade. Well, we have several stages of grading. There's the rough grade, mid grade, and then final grade before they put the sod down. So that's all corrected. It's all laser leveled. And what we're taught, so there's 2 types. There is grading for drainage, and then there's grading for retention. And those present themselves in different circumstances depending on the size of the lot. We're building on a lot now that is really long. And so if you're grading for drainage at the back of the lot, you would have to raise the house so high that it's not feasible to grade for drainage. What we did is grade for retention, meaning the water will just flow off to the side into side retention areas, and that water will just leach. So, yeah, not that that's relevant, but it was a good question. And so,
and in Florida here, it's super important because depending on where you live in Florida, right about Central Florida south is basically a giant swamp, estuary, what have you. So we have to build the pad up 18 inches above the crest of the road.
It depends on the area. Yeah. For the most part, we build 18 inches above the crest of the road. So some people have a question of, well, what about flooding and all that? And it's like, by code, we have to build so far above the road. So you're always like this. And that could be, we've built pads up 3, 4, 5 feet with fill. So it's very comprehensive. All of those circumstances are mitigated for before we even put a shovel in the ground, so to speak.
That's done on a site plan. And a site plan, so you have a survey, and then you have the site plan, and that includes where the house is going to be, and then it'll literally show arrows on the site plan. So the excavator comes out and he sees it and he's like, okay, I got a swale here, and then they have depths on the site plan. Correct me if I'm wrong. Yep. And he'll see numbers on the site plan and be like, okay, it's X amount of feet.
They're called elevations.
Elevations. Yep. So I'll have elevations. And so that's the number of feet where the fill or where the drainage needs to be. So it's actually pretty sophisticated.
It's simple and sophisticated at the same time. So it makes a lot of sense once you look at it.
Yeah.
So
it would look Greek to anybody who's never seen one, but once you explain it,
when you stare at it for 20 years, you get used to it. So, and so ultimately, to answer these questions, sometimes we're regrading and regrading and regrading, and so we have inspectors of various municipalities that come out and inspect that as well. So all those kinds of things are taken care of and inspected and re-inspected. So. Thank you, Mark, for the question. We appreciate it.
And it helps to have a great excavator who does a fantastic job. So, so we got another question, a long one here. So,
the question is...
I guess we should read the question. Everybody's like, what's going on? Hold on.
Orange County has been weighing, the question is weighing a new stormwater utility fee to help fund more than $1 billion in drainage and water quality projects. What implications could that have on future builds? So it depends on where you build. So in some places where we build, there are different governing bodies as far as evaluating site plans and drainage. In a community called Wedgefield where we build, which is east of Lake Nona, they have their own governing body that determines drainage and everything like that, because it is much more intricate. They have a system of canals and drainages and swales and everything like that. So they may not be affected by the new stormwater utility fee because they're outside the jurisdiction of Orange County. Orange County defers to them because they have a much more intricate design criteria that we have to follow. And so to answer the question, not sure. When something says when they're weighing it, they haven't instituted it yet. Ultimately, quite frankly, when we see something where the county or city are weighing different fees and stuff like that, we don't like it, but ultimately we're passing it on as a cost of construction. And so who knows how that's going to affect.
We thought the $30,000 in impact fees we pay per build would get that done. The other thing too is drainage is one thing, water quality is another. In Wedgefield, you have a well, and we include a water filtration system.
Yeah, it's not quite a purification system, but it is very comprehensive.
Very comprehensive. So people who have a well and build with us get a very comprehensive system. So when they say, when Orange County says, well, we're spending all this money, and those people are like, I've already got good quality water. I don't need to pay for that. So, so you get Orange County, and then you get the city of Orlando. That's a different municipality. How does Winter Park
different governing body, but
yeah.
So thank you, Mark, for those questions.
Yeah. Inevitably, I think the correct answer is it depends.
When they institute it, we'll let you know.
And
you'll see it on the bill. Pun intended. Pardon me. Right. In closing remarks, we're going to wrap it up. Thank you for joining. We will let you know when the next live stream is. Usually we'll have it bi-weekly, or excuse me, bi-monthly, maybe once a month, and usually we'll get around to scheduling it.
Yep.
We'll send you out text reminders, email reminders. We're on all forms of social media for Wettermann Homes, so if it does help when you like it, just because those social media platforms will give certain credibility and licenses, so to speak, to the amount of followers that you have. So again, follow and subscribe. Again, DM, call, message, smoke signals, whatever you need help with or questions. So we appreciate you joining. Thank you again.
Thanks, everybody. Take care.